In regulation, Michigan State, they made sure that they weren't going to win that game in the first 60 minutes. But in overtime, yeah, that's when the Big Ten officials decided it's time to put the dagger in Michigan State and maybe even Jonathan Smith. Who knows?
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode of Locked On Spartans is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, how are we doing on this Saturday night? Yeah? I'll tell you what, I'm a little bit more fired up than I ever thought I would be after loss number 6 all in a row of the season, because I thought I was beaten down. I thought I've been battered enough. I think that we could all agree that this has been kind of a nightmare of a season, year 2 under Jonathan Smith, to the point where you get this late in the year. What's a 6th straight loss, right? What's another loss on the road under Jonathan Smith? We just become apathetic to it, right? But hot damn, you see a game rigged the way that was in overtime. You're going to get a little fiery. You're going to get a vocal, a little bit more high-pitched. Matt Sheehan, that's right, over here. And I'm sure that you guys are the same right now. That's probably why you're tuning in, because we need some answers here as to what we just saw in overtime. I'm not sure if we're ever going to get them, but my goodness gracious. Look, we're going to talk about how the players cost themselves the chance at winning this game in regulation. The coaches did themselves no favors either. I mean, that's just been the whole theme of this season. But let's work our way backwards. Right, let's talk about the most egregious thing that we saw on Saturday night in that game. And that was after the most blatantly obvious pass interference that you've probably seen, unless a wide receiver's undershirt is supposed to stretch out 5 feet just naturally, and he's supposed to run a little slower at the end of his route just because his feet get a little heavy. Sure, we could lie to ourselves and say that. No, there was a back judge that threw the flag. 1st and goal, Michigan State. 8-yard line, because if the defender didn't pull Ronnie Bullard, it would have been a touchdown. Alessio was on fire all game. That was going to be another dime dropped by him, but we all saw it. Every single person saw it, except for one of these officials. They decided to chime in, apparently, and give their opinion on this. Now, this comes from an explanation from Jonathan Smith, and this is a tweet from Edmund Matazowski of Spartan Shadows. Now, I didn't see the press conference. I would really like to vision what his energy was, how fired up Jonathan Smith got. But here's the quote. Quote, the explanation was one of the 8 referees had a stronger opinion than the others and was there late. Who had a better view of that than the guy that actually threw the flag? How does it take almost a minute? How does it take almost a minute and a half as the offense is lining up on what would that have been, the 6, 7, 8-yard line, getting ready to run their next play? Is it just magically waved off? When in your life have you ever seen anything like that? In college football, even in the fixed NFL, you don't even see something that egregious. That was horrible what we just witnessed for the Michigan State players who are starved for a win. I feel horrible for them. It was ripped away from them, and yes, they didn't help themselves during regulation. Believe me, guys, we got 30 minutes of talking about this game. We will be getting to all the gaffes that the players and the coaches had. But in the here and now, I've not seen anything that egregious. That might even beat 2013 Notre Dame, right? I mean, that was more calls, but none was more just obviously skewed in one team's favor for no good apparent reason than that one tonight. I get it. You might be saying, well, he's just a salty Spartan fan. He just can't handle a loss. Believe me, I've witnessed nothing but losing the last few years. I don't need a reason to throw excuses. I am very well versed in pointing at my own team for ways they lose games. So I know that some rival fans will say, oh, there goes another salty Sparty, or members of Tim O'Day and his family. That's right, Tim O'Day, the head official for today's game. They might be the only ones saying that, oh my God, well, look at that salty, crazy guy over there. No. And here's the funny thing. This probably just helps Michigan State's cause, because let's be honest here. I will always root for Michigan State. 100% will always root for Michigan State. But a win would have made things a little weird. May have clouded some things with Jonathan Smith. It seemed pretty evident that we're going to the inevitable right now, that this will be a breakup here. He will be bought out. we will get on to the next regime or the next chapter under this Michigan State program. And a loss will just makes things a lot easier. A win would have muddied the waters. So, yeah, like, I could have been watching one or two random teams, Arizona State and Kansas State, play a game like that, and I would still probably be this appalled at what we just saw. Just a straight-up, bona fide robbery from whoever the officials were. I don't know if it was Tim O'Day directly. I don't know if it was any of his other hardworking officials like Ken Zelmansky or B.J. Henry, Jeff Meslow, Douglas Wards, Nicole Randolph, Joel Clay, Jason Gant, Andrew McGrath. I don't know which one of those stooges were the one that chimed in and said, well, give me those maroon and gold pom-poms. We're gonna make this one for PJ Fleck here. But guys, again, this isn't a ticky-tack call. Anyone with a television and one functioning eyeball could tell you what happened tonight. So I feel sick. I feel sick for the players. Again, I'm going to get over this. This is our 6th straight loss. Who cares? Who could actually care about the season at this point other than mentally ill people like myself? But man, what a robbery. What a robbery. Anyway, what a perfect microcosm of the season for the first 60 minutes right now. This is going to be the part of the show where we get into the first 60 minutes of the game, because Michigan State, they did themselves no favors. There's a reason that this game had to be dragged into overtime, and I don't want to say it's because Minnesota played that great that they forced overtime, because I'll be honest, just like I said after the Nebraska game, just like I said after the Michigan game, but even more so after this game, I think this is the worst of the three. Minnesota's not a good team. That's a lousy team, guys. That's a really, really bad team. Could have beat them, should have beat them, did not beat them. And look, the whole discussion of the entire season for the last few weeks at least has been, well, is this more of like on the coaches or is this more on the players? Like, what, chicken or the egg? Is it because the players aren't good or is it because the coaches just aren't good? Well, how about just a little bit of both, which is probably our answer here, right? I mean, that's not to say that it was a total dud by all the players. Alessio Milivojevic, it's a damn shame the game was stolen, because I would have loved to talk more about his game. We will later on. And Jordan Hall, I think, played a great game. Had some penalties late, but it's a really solid game. Malcolm Bell thought had some good moments. Aiden West, a really nice pass breakup in that second half. But it's a little bit of both on the coaches and on the players. The coaches, I love the timing of that timeout right before your trick play in the first half. That's just outstanding. I like in the second half, you know what? You haven't been able to run the ball a lick. Alessio Milivojevic, he just got absolutely detonated on the play previous to the one that you had on 3rd and goal inside the 5-yard line. And what's that? Is that Dave Warner calling in this play? Is that a weak side run with very, very limited field to actually spread across? Oh my goodness. Yeah, we haven't been able to run outside all day. Why not do it with our quarterback to the weak side? That was just blown to smithereens. Yeah, let's do that. And then that leads to the 24-yard field goal, which was one of the big errors from the players here. Now, look, guys, it's not going to be fun, but we also got to talk about this game. As much as I would love to chalk it all up to officiating, and believe me, they're the ones that finally sent the dagger into this game. Credit to you guys for that. Michigan State did a lot of self-inflicted wounds throughout Saturday. We're going to get to that and then talk about your quarterback and then talk about, who knows? I got some basketball notes that we can get into if anyone cares, but if you don't, it's going to be more football on the other side of this break. But first, I need to talk your ears off about Game Time. That's right, Michigan State basketball. They're playing against Colgate, Breslin Center, 7 p.m., Big Ten Plus. Or, God, there might even be tickets cheaper than a Big Ten Plus subscription, especially on Game Time, guys. You can save tickets or save on tickets right now, 2 days ahead of tip-off, or walk to Breslin Center right when you're outside the doors, maybe like 20-ish minutes before tip-off. Go ahead, guys, hop on the Game Time app. They're going to have last-minute deals, because whether it's way in advance or whether it's way last-minute, Game Time, yeah, they're going to hook you up with saving that money. Now, look, guys, I get the ticketing apps where, okay, well, these tickets are $10. That's cool. Then 85 taps later, those tickets just turn into $55 tickets. You're wondering how on earth that happened. No, with Gametime, it's the upfront cost, and it's 2 taps sent straight to your phone. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Gametime, guys. That is right. Because, well, what else would you do? Spend more money? No. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, guys, LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Gametime app today. Also, look your best for the rest of this football season with the only Alumni Hall. Now, Alumni Hall has the largest selection of officially licensed gear from all the top brands you're looking for. We're talking Nike, Columbia, Champion, Yeti, New Era, so much more. They have apparel for the entire family. We're talking kids, adults, a huge selection of hats, gifts, and all the tailgating gear that you can need to make your setup the best in the lots for the rest of this season. And they're really taking care of the Spartan community, Michigan State students, faculty, and military, and all first responders. You get 10% off of the valid ID in the store. And on top of all that, you'll want to follow Alumni Hall on social media and download the Alumni Hall app, because that is where you'll find special offers and sales. So pop into Alumni Hall in the Eastwood Town Center in Lansing near the Apple Store, or shop online or through their app. And the best part is, for every $150 you spend, you get $10 in Hall cash to use for the next time. So grab the new game day look or upgrade your tailgate with Alumni Hall, your ultimate Michigan State shopping destination. You know what? Just one more thing about the officials. Just allow me to do this, please. Isn't it crazy? Like, you haven't seen a game taken away from a team like this in God knows how long. Maybe your mind goes back to, a few years ago. God, wasn't that a crazy weird ending? Oklahoma State, they lost to Central Michigan, where Central Michigan got to run an untimed play. That's right, because the refs and that officiating crew incorrectly gave Central Michigan an untimed down at the end of that game in Stillwater. Would you look at that? That was Tim O'Day's crew as well. Oh my God, is that ironic, or is that just repeated stupidity from whoever keeps employing this guy? Anyway, this is a quote from the story in the Oklahoman back in 2016. It says, quote, "O'Day and crew will get no sympathy from colleagues. One official suggested to me that the 8 men who called OSU versus Central Michigan are finished in terms of advancing in the profession or even holding their status. No more quality assignments. The official I talked to said he wouldn't be surprised if some got out of the business before next season." Or how about you just become a Big Ten official and you just get to handpick who wins games in overtime? Two the same, getting out of the business or deciding what happens on Big Ten Network every Saturday. Who's to say? Anyway, just had to throw that last barb in there before we talk, about the players, because it was almost incredible how they shot themselves in the foot roughly, it seemed like 18 times, and yet almost walked away with a win here. But this really painted a good picture of the season, right? Whether it's the 6 sacks in the first half, whether it's just rushing the ball for 3 yards in the first half, whether it was giving up 12 tackle for losses on the entire game, whether it was the drop touchdown in the first quarter. And was that really that poorly underthrown? I know Alessio threw that ball a little inside. If you're a receiver looking to play on Sundays, if you're a receiver that's making, top money in the conference, no, you come down with that ball. Like, that should have been a touchdown for Nick Marsh. And then how about maybe later in the game, too, on a big third down, we just saw the shadow of a cornerback and we stopped running our route. I don't know if we shrieked or not, but you just stopped dead in your tracks. I'm going to need to see more out of an NFL player. He's been great all season. Like, I'm not one of the people dogging him for jogging all the time. No, he's a good player. He's a really good player. He's a damn fine player. But, those were 2 big blunders today. Kind of like the 2 big blunders on the 2 missed field goals. Now, the first one, I don't know if anyone had any faith in that one going in. That was pretty long. There was some wind going on. But, 24 yards. Call me too demanding of a podcaster over here, but I expect you to make, or at least come close to making, a 24-yard field goal. Even just hitting the post, it would have been okay, right? We could stomach that maybe a little better. But, nope. You had 2 missed field goals. That's how you get yourself into overtime. And then, hey, my God, the team has done it. Guys, they scored a go-ahead touchdown. Oh, my God, they're going to do it. They're going to win a Big Ten game. They're going to win the second road game in Jonathan Smith's tenure here in East Lansing. All I got to do is just hold their head above water for about, a minute and change. Kick off out of bounds to get the gopher set up at the 35-yard line, and then immediately face mask penalty to get them set up at the 50-yard line. Just going to get out of your own way. I mean, like, that's 8 penalties in regulation against 2 for Minnesota in regulation. And I'm not even going to argue any of those 8 penalties. They were all probably correctly called. Now, 2 for Minnesota, whatever. We can have that debate later. I've already thrown enough barbs at this officiating crew, but even the last play, right? Players got to make plays. You had Lindsey dead to rights, 9 yards away from the end zone. Linebacker shoved right into the dirt. Look, players got to make plays. Players got to line up correctly without penalties. Players got to line up not in the neutral zone. Players got to have their hands away from the face mask. And it wasn't just Jordan Hall. Malcolm Bell had one of the most unnecessary and egregious face mask penalties that I could also remember. So, yeah, the refs did you no favors. The coaching staff, it's a sloppy team. A culture like that, an identity like that, always starts at the top. That might be a lazy cliche take, but it's got to start somewhere. When it gets this bad for this long, I look to the top of the pyramid. But the players have also make things happen too. All right. The players gagged this game. The coaches gagged this game. The refs handed it off at the very end. They were the last ones that ran that relay race to the finish line. Oh yeah, I mean, I wish we could kick off the show talking about Allesio Milivojevic, because that was the story of the game going into this. Is that a few hours before the game, like, you're starting to hear the rumblings online, like, ooh, Alessio, he could be the guy under center today, or at least, it's going to be a shorter leash for Aiden Childs. You're hearing that he got run with the ones during the week, and then bang, hour and a half before the game, gets dropped, he's starting. And Jonathan Smith said that, you know what, Aiden Childs hasn't been the only problem, but this is going to provide a spark here. And my God, I would say that Alessio provided more than a spark here. I thought, considering all the circumstances, I thought he played an incredible game. 20 of 28 passing, 311 yards, 1 touchdown pass. Should have been 2 touchdown passes like we already talked about earlier. But I thought he did a great job of spreading the ball out. It wasn't just spamming Nick Marsh over and over and over again. No, like, he targeted Amari Kelly 10 times. Rodney Bullard had 4 catches for 102 yards on that great second half touchdown too. I thought he really spun the ball well. And I mean, especially with everything that he had to endure in that first half. 6 bone-crushing sacks in the first half, and all that the kid did was stay in the pocket, stay through his throws. Very rarely, if ever, did you see him throw off his back foot. He's a gamer. That kid is tough, and he is accurate. I mean, of the 8 incompletions, how many were just, like, not accurate or bad throws? 2, 3? Again, you had one where a route stopped being run. You had the other one in overtime, which would have been a touchdown should the cornerback or safety, whoever that was, not pull Rodney Bullard. I thought the kid played outstanding. So does it change? Like, would things have changed in weeks previous? Look, I don't know if Alessio is the difference between beating Michigan. I don't know. Like, that was still like an 11-point loss, right? Like, Nebraska turned out to be an out-of-hand game. The offense was stagnant the entire game, of course, until he was in there in the red zone. But drawn out, I don't know. I think also, too, not to throw, just more excuse logs on the fire for Aiden Childs, but because believe me, like, he has not been great lately. Like, his performance in the first half in the Michigan game, you can't even point to the pass coverage for that. Like, he was just straight missing throws, right? But also in the first half, you can kind of see how things got the way they did with Aiden Childs, right? Like, oh, he bails out of the pocket too early. Oh, he's got happy feet. Oh, his accuracy isn't there. Yeah, it's because he's been getting murdered for the first 2 months of the season. Like, that's the offensive line that he's playing behind, okay? Now, good for Alessio Milivojevic stepping up, getting gritty, and not deterring at all in the second half. But, man, when those games compound on top of each other, again, like, Aiden could have played a lot better himself, but you can kind of see how a quarterback gets the way they do when that's going on, right? So I'm glad that they finally plugged in Alessio, because I thought it was really interesting because, man, something had to give. We talked about this last week with Mike Jones of Can't Read, Can't Write, of do you want to see a change at quarterback? And our conversation netted out to, we want to see a change somewhere on offense. It's been a 5-game losing streak. Your offense has looked average at its very best, well below average for the most part. Change something. And it's clearly between firing your coordinator, Jonathan Smith overtaking play calling duties, which is effectively firing your coordinator, or switching up the quarterback. And I think it's really interesting in this day and age of college football, money matters, right? Like, hey, maybe you own a business, or hey, maybe you just fancy some finance yourself. When you're financially staked in one way more than the other, well, yeah, maybe you're going to, diamond hand that thing a little bit. Maybe you're not going to let go. But in this day and age of college football, I think it's very interesting that, I don't know the exact numbers right here, but the monetary difference between Brian Lindgren and Aiden Childs, probably not much. So it was a true, like, okay, what are you going to do here? Are you going to trust the kid, or are you going to trust the coach here? And they went with the coach. I mean, they're saying to you, yeah, the offense hasn't been great, but it's more on the players than it is our coaching. I think it's interesting, too, that you're kind of waving the white flag that Aiden Childs, this top 200 kid, 4-star recruit, very highly coveted in the transfer portal that Michigan State paid for. Maybe there is another game this season where he plays, but that's pretty much waving the white flag that it did not work out. You could not develop him into the ceiling that we all thought he could hit, that it looked like early on the season he could hit. I think it was a fascinating decision. I'm glad they made a decision. Like, at least he did something to show that you're trying something different, but, man, that was the story of the game coming in. That was the story of the game coming in. We got more to rail on, including this statement made by Jay Batt and President Kevin Guskowitz about the Central Michigan punishment being handed down. I like Jay Batt. I still like him, but woo, that's a swing and a miss right there before the weekend started. But before we talk about that, FanDuel Sportsbook. Let's say that you're just tired of football altogether. I know that I'm going to be checked out of football for the rest of the night. Hey, the NBA's back. Or also, guys, get in on the baseball action, too. Game 7, are you kidding me? My God, it's going to be electric tonight. Anyway, guys, the NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on all the action than with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything, on who is going to score the next basket, fourth quarter comebacks, whatever it is, guys. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. And how many times do you see a late push made in the NBA? It feels like every night, right? Anyway, guys, right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. One other storyline going into tonight's game, and if you can find, like, go to your nearest Goodwill store, find anything that looks like shoulder pads. Find something that looks like any helmet. I don't care if it's a bicycle helmet or not. Get ready to play in 2 weeks for Michigan State here, because going into this game, 19 guys that were out for this game. You're missing your starting left tackle. You're missing your starting running back, your slot receiver, your defensive lineman, and Ben Roberts, and also Ruquan Buckley, who's had some good moments lately. And, like, how it's gotten to this point, and I'm not naive. I know that, like, a few guys may be sitting out, but oh my God, Lordy, 19 guys out. I mean, never mind this team almost won the game after shooting itself in the foot for the full first 4 quarters. The fact that you almost won a game with having 19 guys sidelined on the road, like, that's also pretty incredible too. That's not to say Minnesota didn't have their injury issues. Like, they're on their 3rd string running back. But still, that is, my God, a storyline that just keeps on building up. Incredible here. Man. Let's talk about the Central Michigan news that broke. And, like, this is something that we've been hip to ever since it started. Everyone knew it was Connor Stallions. You could kind of connect the dots, and we did on this show that, well, golly gee, the quarterback coach, Jake Costner, huh? The guy that coached with Michigan, the guy that coached with Connor Stallions. Oh, wouldn't it just be convenient if he was the one that set this whole thing up? And, yeah, sure enough, nailed it as always, because all that Michigan State online members do is just nail things, it seems. But it comes out, NCAA, they dished out their penalties to Central Michigan. No, we're not going to go through every penalty, but 2 years of probation for the Chippewas, a $30,000 fine, and then a 1% budget docking for their football program, which is probably $7. Anyway, suspensions and show causes everywhere, namely for head coach Jim McElwain. He gets a 2-year show cause, and then a 30% first-year suspension, and then Jake Costner got the brunt of it. 4-year show cause and a 50% first-year suspension under said show cause. So, yeah, NCAA saying this is who did it. This is how they did it. They gave a nice little report, said that Jake Costner asked the equipment guy for coach's gear, and then gave them a fake credential to get on the sidelines. Blah, 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 blah. We all know it. And Michigan State come out with a defiant strong-willed statement. And lets them know we're not going to take crap from anyone. That's right. Get ready for this one. Quote, who will get the brass knuckles on? This is going to be a hot one. Michigan State University acknowledges Central Michigan University's accountability for actions which negatively impacted our football program and student athletes. We accept the apology from President Neil McKinnon and Director of Athletics Amy Fullen and appreciate their commitment to addressing the issue directly and communication to the extent permitted throughout the process. Nope, wrong. And this was co-signed by your president, Kevin Guskowitz, and friend of the program. That's right, Director of Athletics, Jay Batt. No. Wrong. No, strike one. That was not good. Now, look, there's one way that this statement looks good, right? We all know the story. Central Michigan never reached out to Alan Haller. Now, this is according to the great Graham Couch sit-down piece when Alan Haller was here. Graham Couch got into it. Alan Haller said, no, we haven't heard anything from Central Michigan. Not an explanation, not an apology. And that's what really rubbed me the wrong way. I understand Amy Fullen's not the one that airdropped Connor Stalions on that sideline, right? Like the administration over there, they probably had no clue what was going on. But you found out when the rest of us did. And you had months to sit on it. And I get the part of the statement like communication to the extent permitted through the process. You can still have an off-the-record like apology, an explanation, just reaching out to the athletic department of the student athletes that you screwed over by cheating. You can do that. Now, here's the only way that statement looks good. As if J-Bat takes over and Central Michigan just out of nowhere just comes running and kissing his feet, saying, we are so sorry what happened. Welcome to the great state of Michigan. Here's what happened. We are so sorry. If that happened behind closed doors and they kissed and made up and maybe some deal's going to happen where they're not going to pay Central Michigan as much in the future, which I highly doubt, that's the only possible way that statement looks just at least somewhat good. And I understand being diplomatic. Who in a suit doesn't like to be diplomatic? But awareness amongst your own fan base goes a very, very long way. And this isn't a thing where it's like, oh, well, only the high-paying donors really matter here. I got a hard time believing that even the high-paying donors will actually be pleased about this one. I get it. Us Michigan State fans, let's call ourselves out here. We are very cranky. We are very on edge right now. Our football program is in shambles. We haven't smiled out anything since the Penn State game in 2021. The Peach Bowl was pretty fun, too. We're a grumpy bunch. I understand that we are all on edge right now. But even if things were going great, like the in-state school that you paid north of $1 million to come to was in cahoots, not with another team, but with your arch rival and cheated in your home stadium, even if they did finally reach out and apologize. What is this slop? What is this weak-willed nonsense? We appreciate their commitment to addressing the issue directly? When did they ever do that? No. They ghosted Michigan State. They cheated on your sidelines. They were unapologetic. They were not transparent. They tried to hide everything they possibly could. That statement really rubbed me the wrong way before the weekend here. Like, it ain't easy to make, or it's not difficult. It is not difficult to make Michigan State fans sit in your corner for this. You just say, not good enough. You say, we will reconsider the Central Michigan game down the line, kind of like J-Bat did on the show not too long ago. I asked him straight up, hey, are we going to still be playing that? And he said, we're going to do what's in the best interest for Michigan State. That statement was not in the best interest of the fans. I have a hard time believing the student athletes would like that either. But, oh, boy. Again, I still like J-Bat. I think he's going to be great here. I think he's an adult in the room. But for that one, and I don't know if that was the president pushing him to do that. I don't know if he said, hey, this is going to upset a lot of fans, but sign this dotted line and let's get this all behind us. Woo! That was almost as bad as picking up that flag in overtime here. Anyway, we got something cool going on. Spartan Ventures, which I think is cool because Spartan is the nickname of the college I went to, Michigan State University, and Ventures is the nickname of the high school I went to. Bishop Foley, that's right. Fire up. So Spartan Ventures, but enough about my life that no one cares about. Yeah, this is a thing that's it's going to be private equity, but it's also going to help Michigan State here. I'm not going to claim to know the ins and outs of this, but I will read the statement from Jay Batt, and this is a statement I did like from Jay Batt. Quote, by utilizing a private sector approach, Spartan Ventures provides the structure to operate with strategic innovation in an evolving intercollegiate landscape, maximizing operational flexibility and expediting decision-making. That's a lot of $20 words right there. Woo! Someone got their thesaurus for that one. Look, what this is going to do, it's going to help broker NIL deals. It can make athletes employees. It's going to let Michigan State, like this Spartan Ventures, sell their own merch, stadium and field naming rights, which we're going to keep an eye on here. Spartan Fund, they're saying that the points will carry over. I know that's going to be a big thing amongst donors, but yeah, Clemson did something like this not too long ago. You're going to see more and more of this from colleges, because what this also does, it takes away the red tape of being like a state-run school, right? Like at the very end of that statement I just read, expedited decision-making. You don't have to wait months for like the state to clear it. Like being the private sector, you make a decision, great. It's brought up the flagpole that afternoon, basically. that's what you got. So yeah, Spartan Ventures. That's what we're gonna end it on. When I woke up this morning, like I said to myself, well, I know I'm not going to get fired up no matter what tonight. Like, hey, if they win, great, awesome. Broke the losing streak, buys Jonathan Smith another X amount of weeks or whatever. A loss, whatever. 6 straight losses. Seen it all before. I'm done being upset at losses, but that was a different genre of loss here. And we're going to see what it means for Jonathan Smith. I mean, because we said a win would make things kind of weird. Like, you can't really let him go in the bye week. You probably give him till the end of the season. But is the fashion of which they lost, like the third door of weird ways for this weekend to go? Because, like, yeah, they lost. Yeah, they were pretty blatantly screwed in overtime. But also, you saw a lot of the same things that you have the entire season. So is it just time to go right now? I don't know. Stay tuned. News could break tomorrow. News could break in 3 weeks. News might never break. My God. I need to go lay down. I didn't even know how to end this show. I'm just going to do it by saying you guys are the best. Love every single one of you. Go watch and listen to Locked On Big Ten. And, yeah, I guess just let's enjoy this bye week. Colgate, 7 p.m. They're a small ball team. They lost 3 seniors from last year's team. But according to Torvik, 4 of their top 5 projected guys are returners to this team. They really didn't go in the transfer portal too much. So that's your Colgate breakdown. Torvik expects you to win this game by 26.5 points. Kurtang, you need to start making shots. That's your breakdown. That's what we're looking to see. Keys to the game number 1, Kurtang, make a shot. Key number 2, make another shot. Key number 3, Kurtang, please make that 3rd shot. Folks, there you have it. We're going to have more about this Colgate game Monday night. Talk about whatever happens. I don't know. I don't know. I was going to say I don't care, but I do care. And you do too, because you're watching. So, all right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Go green.